had some complaints in the past week or two about various vegetables that have come that haven't been perfect, and people are misunderstanding what they're seeing. So as we go along, I'm going to explain some things to you. You know that we're a small family-run farm, and I'm not making excuses for us. We're doing a great job, and most of the people that we serve are very happy with our things. So this video hopefully will be one that I can send to people who might have some misunderstandings. But as we go along, I'm going to show you things like the peaches. When you get them, they are going to be hard this week because peaches are one of those things that are very tender and you don't want to have them bruised, and they do ripen off the vine, ripen off the tree, and they are grown that way. The best way to ripen them is just to leave them on the counter and to touch them a little bit, give them a little squeeze to see when they become tender, and then put them in the refrigerator. I have portobello mushrooms, and any kind of mushroom is packed with nutrition and things that you don't get in other vegetables because this is a fungi and they are so healthy for you. So whether you like mushrooms or not, you should really include them as food or supplements in your diet because they're so good for you. Leeks are really exciting. These are different from our giant spring onions. And you'll know that because they have a flat leaf. Leeks are often just cut circularly, sliced this way. They're great for cock-a-leekie soup, potato leek soup, and generally cooked, I find that they're a little bit tougher when you're slicing them raw. So I always cook them, but they're great in stir fries too. I still have kohlrabi. And we've had patty pan squash in the last, I don't know whether you guys have gotten them, but these are patty pan. They're summer squash and they're in a very unique shape. So they lend themselves to stuffing. So I can show you what I would do here. I'll just take off the top. And then what you can do is take a sharp spoon or loosen this up by scoring it with a knife, and you can scoop that out and then grind that up with some meat and rice and some other fillings to make something really flavorful, and then roast these for a zucchini boat or a filled zucchini squash. These are also great on the grill because they're firmer than some of the other summer squashes that you get. Now another thing that might cause some misunderstanding is the fresh onions and why we're putting them in your box this way. So mine came in a bag. The greens are dying off, which is what fully mature onions are supposed to do. And I need you to stop touching that. Okay. And I explained in the last video that these are supposed to die, and that's when you know that these are mature. And in the past, we've had some volunteers who were able to come and volunteer their time to do the really task-consuming process of taking some of the dirty skins off and making them look all pretty. And then as these greens die, more than these can be pulled off. But right now you're getting them this way. We just don't have the ability to pay someone to do that kind of work, and it's easy for you to do once you get it in your home. You'll just want to clip off the greens so that they don't pull moisture out of the onion. The berries look amazing. Of course, especially raspberries, they don't last very long, and they catch a lot of mold spores that circulate throughout the air because of all the crevices. They're so tender, and so a vinegar rinse is the best way to keep them a little bit longer in the refrigerator. Tomatoes, of course, you want to keep on the counter for best flavor. The fennel, you can see here, is starting to really stem out and flower. So we're not going to be able to offer the fennel very much longer. The heat really affects it, and you'll just see that more of a stem will be growing through the center. The leaves will still be nice and tender, but you'll want to pay attention to whether that stem in the middle is woody or not, and how much cooking it may take to soften it, or whether you just want to go ahead and discard it. The fronds are fine for flavoring things, and that is that. We've got the garlic. So the garlic has been pulled out of the field. The stalks have been trimmed off. Some of the roots have been trimmed off. Actually, I've trimmed my own roots when these came into the kitchen, and these have been left in a building, in a shelter, to dry, to cure, so that they will have a long storage life. So use these as you would any garlic that you get for long-term storage. And I also want to show you what I did with my kohlrabi and some radish. So radish that went out last week, I've been mentioning to you that it's a spring crop, and now here we are in the middle of summer, and so the last of that has been going out in the last couple weeks. And so when vegetables have been in the ground that long, sometimes they start to look a little beat up. The bugs get more interested in them, and they take on water and they might crack. So I do know that some of the radishes that went out were a little ugly, but there's still so much good on them that we really value not wasting food, and we know that our customers really value not wasting food. And so it's much better to give you the to let you eat seasonally as long as those seasons last, and to teach you how to make the most of everything. But once again, the quality that we're sending out is it is our priority to send you the best that we can, and within the limits of our small production system here. And I hope that on occasion, when you get something that isn't as great as you would like it to be, you weigh that against other things that are so much better than what you can get other places. So what I did with my ugly radishes was we trimmed them, we shredded them in the food processor, and then with that I had a bunch of kohlrabi that was lingering around, and those just kind of seem to keep their flavor no matter how long they're around. So this is mostly kohlrabi with a little bit of that pink skinned radish. So this has turned pink. I mixed that together in a bowl and added salt. And I like to add salt to where it's nice and strong salty flavor. I can still eat a little bit at a time. In the summer, you're gonna want your salt solution to be a little bit stronger, so more salt per vegetables. Whereas in winter, you can lower that salt content down a bit, because the heat in the summer is really activating the fermentation process, and in the winter you don't want the salt to keep the fermentation from getting going. Even just a bubble came up through here, and I'm going to give this a taste. It's nice and sour. This is ready to go in the fridge, and it doesn't really have a name, shredded fermented kohlrabi and radish, where some other things have names like sauerkraut or turnips. When you do the very same thing, it's called sour ribbon. But this has a delicious flavor, and the probiotics from these vegetables are really good condiment for our meals, and to add that element of nutrition into our diet. So if you have any more questions, and as always, when you have questions about your vegetables, please cut them. So I saved this for you. This onion came in my box, and I can tell that it's squishy and it's brown, and it accidentally got packed with these other onions. We wouldn't have sent this to you, but we're dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of vegetables at a time, and sometimes one individual thing will slip through. So the best way to find out whether something is good or not is just to cut straight through it. So you can see that even it's squishy and brown, and it is deteriorating. There is this brown part on this side of it. I was expecting actually to see a lot more brown. So being a frugal Pennsylvania Dutch granddaughter that I am, I'm going to trim this, take the edges off, and use the part that I can salvage. And this side, because this has more of the deterioration on it, there's not as much to salvage. This whole half is going to go in my compost, and I just kept a little bit of this, but I'll throw it in with something. But it's a good way of finding out whether it's rotten all the way through, or if you can save something. So when those cauliflower went out, as I told you before in a video, they are really susceptible to bruising, and the best efforts that we take sometimes can't prevent some jostling in the box, some bumping when you're putting it away in the refrigerator. We can't control all of that. We do the best that we can getting it to you, but if you see that discoloration on the top of something, just cut through it and see, does it go down into the vegetable itself? If it's just on the surface, likely it's just a discoloration and it's not affecting the flavor or the nutrition of it at all. If it does go down through the vegetable, then you've got some deterioration. And we want to see pictures of the things that you have questions about before you throw them away, because we can often give you an explanation. And sometimes, like I said, like that onion, it does slip through the cracks. Now here I have a kohlrabi. Now these were planted in the spring and they've been in the field for a while, so it's got some discoloration. It even has a pretty dark brown spot here, but that's on the edge. If I trim that off, I'll see that was only on the surface, and it's perfectly good on the inside. So that's my hints and tricks about not wasting food, and all the work that goes into bringing local, organically grown food to your door. Thank you so much for eating local all year round and for enjoying the unique things that you get in your box. Have a great day, everyone.